Hey, hi everyone. Today we are going to learn about how to clean snapshots of EBS volumes, and that we are also going to do via Lambda. And here we are going to use the engine with Python 3.11. So to start with, let us do something here. Let us first create volumes as well as Lambda. So let me first log into here in my AWS console. As you can see, I log into EC2 services, and there I will be going to volumes. So for this example, I will be creating 3 volumes, and I just create 3 volumes. I'm not selecting anything, whatever the default is, because the purpose of this exercise is to see how to clean up historical snapshots if get created, and how to do that through AWS Lambda. So here we have created 3 volumes, and let me create 3 snapshots also against each, and let me give a name of dummy01 for here for the first snapshot. For the second snapshot, let me create dummy02, and I need to create the third snapshot, and let me give the name dummy03. So I have created 3 snapshots against 3 volumes, right? Let me go to the snapshots, and here we can see the 3 snapshots are ready, right? Now our things are there. Now assume I want to clean up these snapshots whichever has been created, as because of some reasons maybe I no longer need these snapshots. It can be anything. For this experiment we are doing this for like 3 things, but it may be a historical snapshots of, let's say, 1 year back these snapshots are still there, or 3 years back snapshots are still there, and it can goes to a very big number. We can see here 3, but it can be have multiple pages and multiple the number may cross across 1,000, 10,000, whatever it is. So we need to make a cleanup of those snapshots, and we can select some date and time. For example, if the snapshots are of old of say 1 year or 2 year, then clean it up. So this is exactly what we are going to do, but in a small subset of the data which we have taken. So also we have to create a Lambda function. So let me create a function actually, and in this function we can say this is the purpose of this Lambda is to create or to delete, basically delete EBS snapshots, right? And the runtime we're going to select as Python 3.11. Execution role, here we need to see what is the role I'm going to create. So Lambda needs a role, so I have to create a role for Lambda. Let me log into IAM, and let me create a role. But here the role which I'm going to create, right? So that would be that would be a very simple role which will be carrying the administrative access. So I have creating a role with AWS service, and the service I'm using as Lambda. So I'm just going to give an administrator access for this, and just give a Lambda role name as AWS Lambda EBS Snapshot as a name. You can choose anything. So basically it has admin access. So my role is created. So now the next job here is to refresh it, and I need to select this AWS Lambda EBS Snapshot, and we have some options here, VPC tags and all those things. But one thing you noticed in Lambda, the timeout section for a Lambda is 15 minutes. But however, when we are creating the function, we do not get the option to select those, or even we cannot get the option to select to increase the memory or something like that. Anyways, we can get that after the snapshot got created. So we'll first create the snapshot, create the function basically. So my function is ready, and it has some basic Lambda handler function in Python. What we are more interested in, we can see in the configuration the timeout is 3 seconds, right? So for example, if I have to increase my timeout to say 15 minutes, right, I can go here and I type 15 minutes, but if I want to give it a 16 minutes, you can see the maximum timeout is 15 minutes. So the maximum timeout has been given as 15 minutes, and the memory where it is 128 MB as a minimum and 10240 nearby 10 GB is the maximum memory, right? So there is a benefit of having a higher memory, and which is basically it will allocate more CPU. So if you have very process intensive work and you feel that within the 15 minutes maybe 128 MB of memory cannot help it, we can increase the memory to the number which we look for. So example, if I give 1 GB as a memory, I can do that, right? But it will again cost me as per the memory and the execution time, right? And you can see here I have this Lambda execution as a snapshot role. So let me save this, right? So that's being the Lambda thing. But again, the next question comes is, okay, I have this EBS snapshot cleanup thing, but it's a regular activity, right? So how would I say that I want to get it triggered, say every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes I need to trigger this job, for example. So we have a cron job kind of thing in AWS, and that we are going to do, which will be adding as a trigger for here, right? So let me create a trigger and let me add CloudWatch as the event bridge CloudWatch event, and let me create a new rule. I just give a rule name as trigger, and then comes the schedule expression, right? So it comes with cron, as we can see here in the example below, right? It comes with the cron name, and now the goal here is I want to run every say 2 minutes, just for the demo purpose. I just want to make it short, and yeah, I have to fill up the cron rate expressions basically. So if you open the cron rate expressions, you can see day, month and everything are included here, right? So let me put it to the right place. So okay, hold on. So I can take one example here, and yeah, so we can see here the cron expressions. Few of the cron expressions are there where we say every 10 minutes if I have to run on weekdays, what I need to put, right? So days, months, years, minutes, hours, everything are being decided here. So we need to just follow the rules, right? So I am, for my example, I will be taking this as the point. So I need to add the trigger. I would be putting it as 2 minutes. So this is 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes it will be triggering this actually, okay? And for Monday to Friday we are looking for, right? So if I add this actually, then I can see in the event bridge what is the next schedules which being created. So let me log into CloudWatch. Let me log into the CloudWatch and we'll see the rules there, and that will be giving us the rules, CloudWatch events. This can be also accessed from the event bridge also, but yeah, I just going from here. So I have this trigger rule, and you can see here for the next 10 trigger dates, it's like these are the trigger dates where it's a UTC time. If I go by the local time, this is the local time it will be going for, right? Great, no problem. So what I need to do is, my things are set on this side that okay, every 2 minutes it will be triggering the value that this Lambda job has to be triggered, right? Now to write the code of the Lambda, that we need to figure it out, that okay, we need to first write a code where we are listing out, we are describing what are the snapshots are present, and then we are saying that okay, if the condition matches, we need to clear it up, right? So let us go to the editor PyCharm we have here, and we will see how it is there. Hey, hi, so we have come back to our PyCharm thing. So our goal here is to delete the EBS snapshots with some parameters on it, right? So first I'm going to import some packages, so which is required for our activity. Let me import those date times, as we are going to play around with date time, and we have imported our OS package as well as Boto3, right? So let me initialize first this Boto3, and we are going to use EC2 here as the client. Now let's describe or write the function which you are going to write, which is delete snapshot. And here our goal here is to describe the snapshots. So let me write describe snapshots. Now let me go to the definition of it also. So you can see here describe snapshots. So what it asks is if you are describing a snapshot, it looks for the filters, max results, next token. This is a schema basically, right? And out of which some of them are mandatory field and some of them are not mandatory field. So my goal was to only look for basically the snapshots which are being created by myself, right? So I am not looking for a private or something, so I am looking for owners, as in here in our snapshots, whatever the snapshots are owned by me, this is only I am more concerned about, right? So that's it. So let me first describe the snapshot. So my goal here, as I said, I need the owner IDs which is equals to self, right? So once I get the response of the snapshot, okay, so there are two ways of doing this. One is you run the lambda function by selecting every ID it found, and it will delete one by one every time the snapshot, every time this thing runs. For example, if you are running every 2 minutes, then first time it will run and will delete one of the EBS volume snapshot IDs, and then second run it will delete this, third run it will delete these. So but the thing here is eventually what happens, it costs you, right? Because every time it runs along the memory and the time consumed. So we can do that by way also, or we can do like we can gather all the items of the snapshots into a list, and we can then say that okay fine, we have got this list, and then now iterate and delete all of them, right? So that is what we are going to do, collecting all of them into a list and then iterating over them and deleting over them. So let me create a list, actually deletion list. Now I can do two things. I can write an empty list here, and I can then iterate over the other snapshots response and put it into as an append, or we can write a list comprehension. So I will be preferring list comprehension. So we will see like how it is happening. So for snap in, this is the response which I got. Now let me show you what is the response value we will get. So you can see here, this is the response syntax, generally the schema again, it is the snapshots. So basically it's a dictionary, and on the dictionary we are more interested about the snapshot key, which value is also again a list and which also has a dictionary. So our goal here is to only capture the snapshot key. So I will be saying response of snapshots, right? So for snap in response snapshot, again what I need is that if the snapshot day is like you can put the parameters. You can put it as a minute or day. I will put it as a minute for the simplification purpose. So what I will say, if date time dot now times tz equals to time zone dot utc minus time delta, and this I would be saying for now is minutes, because I do not, we can have the option of you can see the definition of it. We have the option of days, seconds, microseconds, minutes, hour, and weeks, right? For the simplicity I will take minutes, right? And I would be saying this is a parameterized value, so the value can be changed. So I would be taking this as os dot environ, okay, and I want to take the value of the environment value as age. For example, if I create a value of age, but again, see, minutes is a problem here because it's expected float got string, right? So it is kind of expecting a float value. I can also pass integer value, so I would be passing for now as an integer here to typecast it, so that it will stop throwing me the error, right? So what I am doing is the minutes, whatever the value is coming, I just gave a number of a full number as an integer number, so like 1 2 3 4, okay. That is also accepted. So you can see here I am just giving the minutes. Now my question here is, my goal here is, if the current date time, okay, this is the right on the time, and the delta time is around, for example, whatever the time I will give, if it is greater than the, so basically if it is greater than the snap dot get, and what is the response I am actually having, start time. So if the value of whatever we are passing, it is greater than the snapshot get time, right, then all I need is, I just need that snap dot get and the snapshot ID. So the snapshot ID would be this one. So I am only looking for the snapshot ID, which is again basically these three IDs, okay. So I'm interested in these three snapshot IDs only when, if the date time, whichever we are calculating right now, it is greater than the start time. So basically if it is 5 minutes, for example, and it is greater than this, that means it is 5 minutes old, right? So those IDs only I am more interested in. And let me return this deletion list, okay, because we are going to write a lambda function which needs these things. So let me write the lambda definition also. So lambda handler, it expects to value event and context, right? And let me take the snapshot IDs as delete snapshot, and I need to iterate over this snapshot ID. The snapshot ID basically is now a list, okay. It returns the deletion list, right? So it will be having the list of the IDs, which is technically holding the three values, right? So my goal is to iterate over these snapshot, okay. So I would be going by the look before you found something kind of thing, instead of forgive, instead of basically try an exception, which is called as forgive basically, right, later. So I will be look before you jump kind of thing. So my goal here is to look for the length of the snapshot IDs as it's a list, so I can easily iterate over the as a length function also. So basically if it is a 3, then it will be, the loop is going to run for the 3 times, right? And let me print something that hello, and this would be the snapshot IDs, right? Hello, or I can say this snapshot is going to be deleted, right? And the main thing will be done by the delete snapshot. There is a function called delete snapshot. So let me also log in here, delete snapshot. So here you can see this is the response of the client.delete snapshot, where it expects actually a snapshot ID and dry run mode if you want to put it, right? So like this one. So okay, so what I will be doing here is client, which I have taken from here, dot delete underscore snapshot, and this will expect a thing as a snapshot ID because it is of type keyword arguments. So it expects keyword arguments. You cannot just put the snapshot ID, you have to pass the key, which is a snapshot ID, and then the value. If it is only args instead of quarks, then we can pass the value whatever we want, but it actually works for keyword arguments, so we have to pass the keyword here. So we are going to pass the keyword, which is snapshot ID, and the value of the snapshot ID is equals to the snapshot IDs of index I. Index I is basically first 0, 1, 2, right? So for snapshot of 0th index would be the first element. Now this returns a response. Actually, as we can see, it looks for response. However, I'm not interested in the response, so what I can do is I can assign through our variable underscore. Okay, as I don't need the response value. And the next thing is I need to put that return statement for Lambda. So I will be saying status code as 200, right? And I want to pass the body as json.dumps, and here I am going to pass the snapshot IDs, right? And the value of the default value is string. Okay, so it will not throw me an error. Yep, I think it is good. Let me just see. Let me first copy this and let me paste it into the Lambda function. Okay, and my goal here is to test that, but before that I need to make sure that OS environment age is there. So it will be, let me open in a new file so that it might not differ. So here what my thing is, I would be putting an environment variable in here, and I will give the variable key name as age, and the value would be, say example, if I want to put 2 minutes, because I'm calculating basically minutes, so I can, whatever the number I'm passing, it will be the minutes. So if I say in the environment variables, edit, add environment variables, I just give a name age of say 5 minutes example. So that means it is only 5. So this value condition is satisfying that OS environment age is the keyword which is looking for. Let me deploy it also. So the function is deployed. Now I need to configure a test event. I will just create a test 1 and I keep them whatever it is, right? And let me test it. So you can see here, if I'm testing it, I can get the value of 3 snapshots. You can match the snapshot details actually. You can see these values are matching, right? And it kind of gives the response also logs as this snapshot is going to delete it and so on things. So eventually, this is my test thing, but eventually the snapshot will be deleted. So I will be first looking to the CloudWatch log groups. There should be a log getting created as we have tested that Lambda function. So give it a minute. Okay, so I think this is a little taking some time. In the meanwhile, yeah, I can see here that one first lambda is being there, and you can see here that some value was coming. That's okay. However, I was more concerned about my things where we are seeing that these snapshot is getting deleted, right? We capture the logs, these snapshot are getting deleted. So it lambda function has actually ran actually. So if I'm going to see in my snapshots, these snapshot, if I refresh, this will all be deleted as lambda has executed, and we can see that in the logs. If I refresh, as you can see, this has been there. So this is a small code exactly from end to end, where we can see that we have created one lambda function, and this will help you to clean historical snapshots which if they're lying somewhere in Python. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.